Hello and welcome back to another Walking Dead video, and today let's talk about Negan and list 10 facts you probably do not know about Negan from The Walking Dead. So let's start us off with number 1. Negan's last name is Smith. We actually find this out in season 10 episode 22, Here's Negan, with a very quick shot at his mailbox. Fact number 2 is that before the fall, Negan was a PE teacher, or as Americans say, he was a gym coach or gym teacher. This is something that's been mentioned a couple of times, but it does explain why Negan always has this affinity for children. He just really enjoys hanging around them, and it probably reminds him of the job he loved doing before the fall. Fact number 3 is that Negan is way more important in the show than in the comics. In the comics, Negan is only around for 2 arcs. He's around for the Savior arc as the main villain, and he is around as a semi-anti-hero and tool in the Whisperer arc. However, after that, Negan just gets kicked out of the group and he just disappears off into the woods, never to be seen again other than when Maggie tries to hunt him down and then finds him pathetically cowering and leaves him. And in the final issue of The Walking Dead, where we get a quick flash of Negan at Lucille's grave. And this is very different to Show Negan, where he's around for the show exclusive Reaper arc and is a major key player in the Commonwealth arc and has stories continuing with Dead City. None of this happens to Negan in the source material. He is a character around for only 2 arcs and he just disappears. Negan in the show has grown and become his own entity, a lot like other characters which have outgrown their source material, like Carol. And moving on, fact number 4 is that Negan has had a total of 8 wives over the course of the Walking Dead universe. So he has had Lucille, his first wife before the fall, and then after the fall he has had his wives from the Savior days. So he had Sherry, Amber, Tonya, Frankie, and 2 other unnamed wives, and he has his final and 8th wife, Annie, from season 11 of The Walking Dead onwards. And fact number 5 is that Negan was almost called Nagus, and that was his original name until Robert Kirkman found out about the Grand Nagus from Deep Space Nine, so he changed it to Negan, which is still a very unusual name, but it is not as unusual as the name Nagus. And number 6, Negan had to be turned down for the TV show. The original Negan from the comics was very brutish and vulgar, and that really didn't work for AMC and what they wanted to do with Negan and the restrictions they had at the time because they're cable TV. So aspects of Negan which were way more maybe evil were given to characters like Simon, so it was easier to redeem Negan. And they also removed Negan's swearing altogether. In the comics, Negan is very iconic for swearing every single sentence. And I think in one issue alone, he swears a couple 100 times. That is how often he drops the F-bomb and all these swear words. However, because of cable TV, they couldn't do some of these aspects, so they removed Negan's swearing altogether and made him more of a serious character, even though in season 7 and 8 he is still a very goofy character. That is him slightly more serious than his comic book counterpart, and as I said, all of his more brutish aspects were moved over to Simon so that Simon could do all the evil things, and therefore keeping Negan available to have the redemption that they planned for this character. And moving on, next fact is that Negan has actually had 3 Lucilles throughout his time on The Walking Dead. His original Lucille we saw in season 6 all the way to season 8, and has a quick cameo in season 10 episode 22. The second Lucille, which was given to him by Brandon, which is the child of an ex-savior, in the first half of season 10 of The Walking Dead, and was kind of forgotten about by episode 16 of The Walking Dead. And the third and final Lucille we have just been given in Dead City season 2 episode 1, with this one having an upgrade to be able to electrocute people on command. And next is that Negan actually created the Saviors by overthrowing other Raider groups. None of the Saviors actually were formed by joining Negan naturally. What happened is that Negan would meet another group, like Simon's group, who were Raiders before Negan met them. And what would happen is that Negan would meet this group and he would then annex them and overthrow the leader, in this case Simon. He did the same with Dwight and a small group he had, and it seems all of his lieutenants probably all had their own groups originally before Negan came along and annexed them to become part of the Saviors. And this same strategy also applies to Sanctuary, which was its own group before Negan and the Saviors. And that is how the Saviors were formed, through Negan just overthrowing other groups. He was never a man people inspired to follow. He was a man that he forced himself upon this group, and they were forced to become his subjects. And fact number 9 is that Negan's appearance in the comics was actually based off of the actor Henry Royland, who actually applied and auditioned for the role of Negan for the show, but lost it out to Jeffrey Dean Morgan because AMC wanted to do something different with Negan. And finally, fact number 10 is that Negan actually has a son called Joshua Smith. This is the child of Negan and Annie, and we know that he exists because of Dead City Season 1 mentioning him, and Dead City Season 2 mentioning him very, very briefly. We do not know what he looks like yet because we've never seen him, and we don't know exactly how old he is, but going by the rough timeline of the ending of The Walking Dead and Dead City Season 1 and Season 2, he's about 5 to 6 years old because Annie was already 4 to 5 months pregnant by part 2 of Season 11. And those are all the facts from me today, so please tell me down below, did you know all 10 of them, or did I at least get you out with 1 or 2 of them? So thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later.